Welcome to the Integrated Learning Management System of Kavi Kulaguru Kalidas Sanskrit University Ramtek. Myself Rashmi Umesh, research scholar from the Department of Education, welcome you to this module from psychology, that is motivation and theories. At the end of this module, you will understand what are the individual centered approach and work centered approach and the related theories of motivation. We will go in detail about the important theories explaining the motivation theories based on individual as well as based on work centered approach. Let us focus majorly on individual centered approach now. There are majorly three theories based on individual centered approach. First one is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Second one is Alderfer's ERG theory. And third one is McClelland's learned need theory. Let us see what is meant by Maslow's theory of hierarchy. So here you can see that it is given in different levels. Maslow's theory defines motivation as the process of satisfying certain needs that are required for long-term development. According to Maslow, a need is a relatively lasting condition or feeling that requires relief or satisfaction, and it tends to influence action over the long term. Some needs, like hunger, may decrease when satisfied, while others, like curiosity, will not decrease when it is satisfied. So here he has beautifully explained that is in a pyramid form. That means the base of the pyramid is explaining about the physiological needs, further safety needs like personal security, employment, resources, health, property. Then third is love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection. Then fourth one is esteem, respect, self esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. And then finally, it is self actualization, that is, desire to become the most that one can be. So what are the basic things that, like, in the base of this Maslow's hierarchy starts with physiological needs. So the most basic of Maslow's needs are physiological needs. So what will come under this? The need for air, food, and water. So when we are hungry, for example, all our behavior may be motivated by the need to find food. So once we eat, the search for the food ceases and the need for food no longer motivates us. So this is explained in the basic hierarchy, and here the secondly it comes safety needs. Once the physiological needs are satisfied, people tend to become concerned about safety needs. Are we safe from the hunger, danger, pain, or an uncertain future? At this stage, we are motivated to direct our behavior towards obtaining shelter and protection in order to satisfy this need. And then third one it comes the love and belongingness. Once safety needs have been met, then social needs for love, belonging become important. This can include the need to bond with other human beings, the need to be loved, and the need to form lasting attachments. Having no attachment can negatively affect health and well being. So, as a result, people are motivated to find friends and romantic partners. So, this comes in the third category. And the next one is esteem needs. Once love and belonging needs have been satisfied, esteem needs become more important. Esteem needs refer to the desire to be respected by one's peers, to feel important, and to be appreciated. People will often look for ways to achieve a sense of mastery, and they may seek validation and praise from others in order to fulfill these needs. So, this category comes in the esteem needs. That means basically it is for respect, self esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. Then, final is self actualization, and this is regarded as the highest level of hierarchy, that attention shift to the need for self actualization, which is a need that essentially equates to achieving one's full potential. This can be seen in acquiring new skills, taking on new challenges. A person is coming across new challenges and he is learning new skills and behaving in a way that will help us to achieve our life goals. So that means the highest of the hierarchy. According to Maslow and other humanistic theorists, self actualization reflects the humanistic emphasis on positive aspects of human nature. Maslow suggested that this is an ongoing lifelong process and that only a small percentage of people actually achieve a self actualized state. So, according to this hierarchy of Maslow, this self actualization is the highest. So, basic things can be actualized like physiological needs, safety needs, love and belongings, and even esteem also can be actualized. But then desire to become the most that one can be means it is in fact a dream, and everyone cannot reach that highest level, and that is self actualization, and that is the highest level. This is all about Maslow's hierarchy. In individualized approach of motivation theories, let us go through the next slide, that is Aldiffer's ERG theory. ERG theory. Here we can see that E stands for existence and R stands for relatedness and G stands for growth. Let us see what is this in detail. The first one is existence, that is similar to Maslow's physiological needs. Existence is the base of any need. And now secondly we can see that it is related to relatedness. What does mean by relatedness? That means it involves interpersonal relationships, relating to each other, interpersonal. Third one is growth, related to one's attainment of potential, or even we can see that skill development, and even it is going towards the hierarchy of Maslow, but basically it is focusing on ERG, that means existence, relatedness and growth. And the speciality of Aldiffer's ERG theory is that it does not suggest that lower level needs have to be fulfilled before the upper level to become motivational. That means at any level it can be fulfilled. Doesn't require to follow that hierarchy order. If a person is unable to meet upper level needs, lower level needs become a major determinants of their motivation. In case if the person is unable to achieve the highest levels, lower level will become the major determinants. Aldiffer identified that needs are not progressive. Even if they are working in an uncomfortable and ill-equipped office also, an academic may still come up with groundbreaking research if they have internal self-esteem or not. Basically, this Aldiffer's ERG theory has been put to test by many researchers. It was revisited in Schneider and Aldiffer's 1973 paper, Three Studies of Measures of Need Satisfaction in Organization. There have been at least 23 articles that have taken the theory, analyzed and developed it, and most commentators reach positive conclusion about Aldiffer's theory. Existence, relatedness, and growth are the basic things. Existence ties in closely with the workplace environment. If we relate that with the workplace, we can see that it is related to the environment. Workplaces can be designed to improve employee performance by removing distractions while also encouraging focus and collaboration. Second one is related to interpersonal relations. So we can see that, or we can ask such type of questions here. Do your colleagues feel their opinions count with both their managers and co-workers? It is important that staff can forge strong peer relationships also. So by this relatedness means by creating a space of understanding and expression, employees may contribute to our latest innovative ideas. Third one is growth. As the name implies, growth obviously it is covering growth and personal development of the employee. One of the most important factors we require from our work in order to reach the holy grail of self actualization is growth. And we know that everybody focus on growth, and this is one of the most important part of Aldiffer's ERG theory. The next important theory is McClelland's learned need theory, and we will see it in detail. Individuals learn the needs from their culture. There are three main needs according to McClelland's, that is need for affiliation, need for power, and need for achievement. Let us see this one by one. That is, first one is need for affiliation. As the name implies, the need for affiliation is the urge of the person to have interpersonal and social relationship with others or a particular set of people. That means basically it is to get recognized. They seek to work in groups by creating friendly and lasting relationships and has the urge to be liked by others. They tend to like collaborating with others, to competing with them, and usually avoid high risk situations and uncertainty. So they are motivated by the need for affiliation. So this type of need for affiliation means always prefer to be a part of the group and collaborates with others and then seek recognition. These individuals stick to basics and play by the books without feeling a need to change things, primarily due to the fear of being rejected. They don't want to be rejected because they want to be affiliated by others. People in this group tend to adhere to the norms of the culture in that workplace and typically do not change the norms of the workplace for fear of rejection. So, from here, we can very well understand that they don't want to be rejected. Collaboration is the way to work, for the competition remains secondary. They are not risk seekers and are more cautious in their approach. These individuals work effectively in roles based on social interclient services and other customer interaction positions. That means affiliation means to be accepted and not to be rejected. The person individual is having the basic urge to be affiliated, to be accepted and not to be rejected, and this is explained in the need for affiliation. And second one is need for power. As it is stated here, power means authority. So the need for power or authority, and there is a desire for a person to hold control and authority over another person and influence and change their decision in accordance with his own needs and desires. The need to enhance their self esteem and reputation drives these people, and they desire their views and ideas to be accepted and implemented over the views and ideas over others. So these people are strong leaders and can be best suited to leading position because it is coming as authority. They either belong to personal or institutional power motivator groups. If they are a personal power motivator, they would have the need to control others, and an institutional power motivator seeks to lead and coordinate a team towards the end. So, here, this power seeking people have a desire to control and influence others. They are self disciplined and also, and they expect the same from other peers and teams. They do not mind playing a zero sum game where for one person to win, another must lose, and collaboration is not an option. This motivational type is accompanied by needs for personal prestige and better personal status. So, we can understand here that it is the need for power and authority, and there is no collaboration but only powering and giving the authority over others. Then third one is need for achievement, accomplishment, and there is a need for it. As the name itself suggests, it is the urge to achieve something in what you do. If you are a teacher, you are achieving something in your life and you are educating children. If you are a lawyer, it is the need to win the cases to be recognized. If you are an artist, there is a need to be recognized by the people, audience. In this way, there is always a need to be recognized by others. People who possess high achievement needs are the people who always work to excel by particularly avoiding low reward or low risk situations. And we can see that this need for achievement and that type of people find innovative clever ways to achieve goals. Because why it happens so? Because their aim is only achievement, so they will seek different types of ways to achieve their goals and consider their achievement a better reward than financial ones. They take calculated decision and always appreciate feedback and usually works a lot. So this is all about McClelland's learned need theory. Need for affiliation is desire to develop social relationships. Need for power, a desire to control the environment and influence others. Need for achievement is the desire to take responsibility and set goals. Let us see the work-centered approach theories. Basically, Herzberg's two-factor theory, theory X and Y, and expectancy theory comes under work-centered approach. Herzberg's theory is basically known as motivation hygiene theory too. Here we can see that Herzberg's findings reveals that certain characteristics of a job are consistently related to job satisfaction, while different factors are associated with job dissatisfaction too. Here we can see that in this system and in this picture itself, poor hygiene factors decrease employee job satisfaction, whereas upward arrow indicates motivating factors increase employee job satisfaction. There are various factors: achievement, recognition, the work itself, responsibility, advancements, growth. All these are related to factors for satisfaction, whereas factors for dissatisfaction may be company policies, supervision, relationship with supervisor and peers, work conditions, salary, status, security, etc. The next important theory is expectancy theory. According to Victor Vroom, individuals while putting efforts to work behavior will consider first one expectancy, second one instrumentality, and third one balance. So, in detail, actually, expectancy theory is about the mental process regarding choice or choosing it. It explains the processes that an individual undergoes to make choices. In the study of organizational behavior, expectancy theory is a motivation theory first proposed by Victor Vroom of the LA School of Management. Here, Victor Vroom defines motivation as a process governing choices among alternative forms of voluntary activities, and that is a process controlled by the individual. The individual makes choices based on estimates of how well the expected results of a given behavior are going to match up with or eventually lead to the desired results. So, motivation is a product of the individual's expectancy that a certain effort will lead to the intended performance, the instrumentality of this performance to achieving a certain result. Instrumentality comes there, expectancy comes there, and third one is valence, that is the desirability of the result for the individual. It is known as valence. The third one is theory X and Y. This is developed by McGregor, where X stands for the authoritarian and Y stands for participative. Let us see. Here, managers who accept theory X assumptions tend to structure, control, and closely supervise their employees. This is where it is written here, it as authoritarian. These managers think that external control is appropriate for dealing with unreliable and irresponsible and immature people. But whereas theory Y assumptions are positive. Here we can see that theory Y stands for participative theory. That is, employees can view work as being natural as rest or play. People will exercise self-direction and self-control if they are committed to the objectives. The average person can learn to accept, even seek, and responsibility. So here managers who accept theory Y assumptions about the nature of man do not attempt to structure or control. So here easily we can understand that X stands for authoritarian, whereas the X people control others, whereas Y stands for participative. Thus, theory Y aims at the establishment of an environment in which employees can best achieve their personal goals by consulting, participating, and communicating themselves to the objective of the organization. In this process, employees are expected to exercise a large degree of internal motivation. So, theory Y holds an organization can apply these principles to improve employee motivation. So, to a large extent, authoritarian will bring the discipline factor, but participative Y factor will bring more satisfaction to the employees and it will give more motivation to the employees too. At the end of this module, now we have come across various type of theories, and here mainly we have gone through work-centered approach and individual-centered approach of motivation theories. And I am sure that we will be able to answer these questions. The highest level of Maslow's hierarchy is dash. Second question, there are dash needs in McClelland's learned need theory. It is very well explained in the slide given before. Third one, in McGregor's theory, X stands for dash, and it is clearly explained now. And explain in detail, explain Maslow's hierarchy in detail. What are the different levels? The different levels of Maslow's hierarchy was explained already in detail with various needs, and I am sure that this module helped you to understand and to have a better understanding about various motivation theories based on individual and work centered approach. Thank you.